webinar. We'll get started here. And today we have the pleasure of having a shop talk with FamilySearch, and they're going to update us on some of the current topics they're working on. Next slide, Manny.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So basically, I welcome, and then we're going to turn this over to the FamilySearch people, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. So if you think of a question as we're going along, you're certainly welcome to type it in chat, and then we'll pick it up and ask it toward the end. And then finally, we'll have some announcements. Okay, Manny. Today, we're very pleased to have the FamilySearch staff with us, and I'm going to let them continue and introduce themselves as we go on. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Manuel. Thank you so much for being our presenters today for the FamilySearch Shop Talk.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It is a real pleasure to be with you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Excellent. Like I said, I'm delighted to be with you. I'm with John DeYoung, and Steve Waters and Rob Jackson, and we're all the field relations team. Steve, if you want to turn on your camera, they'll get to see you. And I'm not sure if Robert Jackson is with us at this point, but this is the field relations team for North America, and we represent all the negotiations for records for Canada and the US. John, would you like to say something, or would you like me to start?
No, go ahead and start. We're just delighted to be here. This is great. We hope that as we go through the presentation, you'll come up with some great questions, and we hope that we'll be able to answer them. So go ahead.
Very good. Thank you so much, John. And as you can see, we've titled this presentation, FamilySearch a Century Later. And that gives you a hint as to what we're going to discuss today. We've been around for a while. Let me just do a quick introduction. My name is Manuel Sanhueza. You can call me Manny. Some of you already work with me. I'm a content manager for FamilySearch and have been with FamilySearch for the last 31 years. When we talk of FamilySearch, it always comes to mind preservation and access, and that is correct. FamilySearch is synonymous with world-class preservation and access that ensures the future of your institution's records. We like to think, and we've been working with you for a long time, that we are a partner that you can trust. Let me give you an outline as to what this presentation will cover today. And we will talk about the beginnings of FamilySearch as the GSU and what we have covered so far. We will also not show you a video that we had planned to show you, but technology did not allow us to do so this time, so that will give us a few more minutes for questions and answers and to be able to present. Then we will talk about FamilySearch as an archive and why we are an archive as well. We will review some of the technological advancements in preservation and access. And this is really exciting. As you all know, we've learned so many things with the pandemic, and it has made us work out of the box. And we have become accustomed to new experiences. It's interesting because every time I go to the washroom and I wash my hands, I count to 20, even though I'm at home and I haven't gone out. So that's just an example of how things have changed, and we're used to a new normal. We will also talk about something very exciting, the 1950 census, a discovery experience. We will review some of the community engagement initiatives that we have within FamilySearch. We will talk about Rootstec. We can't have a presentation about FamilySearch without discussing Rootstec. It has become so important for the archival community. And we will also discuss what has not changed, what has not evolved, what has remained at the core of FamilySearch. Before I forget, I'd like to congratulate everyone for Archives Month. Thank you so much for working together as a community to be able to make these records available and accessible and preserved for other generations that will come after us. So congratulations to everyone for working on this, even though for us, for all of us, I think, we don't have an archives month, we have a year of archival community work. So let's get started. Many of you know us as the Genealogical Society of Utah. And that's how we started in 1894. We've been around for quite a few years, more than 125. So that gives us a lot of experience. We started very small with just a few books that were donated and with the intent of linking families together. By 1924, what started locally, we started locally supporting a handful of languages. Nearly 100 years later, we work with 238 countries. I am personally based out of Montreal, Canada, so I speak French and work with the National Archives of Quebec and other French-speaking provinces in Quebec. And for many years, I worked with Latin America, especially with the Caribbean. I'm also responsible for Haiti. So this is a global operation. We work in many languages, we work with many countries, and today we will show you some of that. In 1938, we used the latest technology available. We had a fellow come from Europe who had been involved with the very beginnings of microfilming, and he came to Salt Lake City and proposed the microfilming technology. We supported him, and that's when it all started. 1938, we did our first microfilms. And we microfilmed for many years to the point to acquire 2.4 million rolls, a bit more than that. In 1999, the FamilySearch website launched and quickly became the most popular family history website on the internet with 7 million hits per day. I remember that day because we prepared earnestly for the launch of FamilySearch.org, and it broke. And it broke not because it didn't work. It broke because we had too many people. We had a lot more than we expected. It was quickly fixed, and then we continued. During 2020, we had 400,000 users a month. We will talk about how that has changed and how many users we have now. By 2002, there were some exciting things happening. From microfilm, we switched to digital. We went completely digital, except for a couple of cameras because of some agreements that we had signed. But I would say 99% of our cameras were switched to digital from microfilm. Also, during that year, the 1880 census listing United States residents became the first publicly searchable record collection on FamilySearch. So that was a huge milestone for all of us. In 2011, we had our first Rootstec conference with just about 3,000 people. It was an opportunity to unite family historians, genealogists, and technologists, engineers, inventors, all those that had new ideas about technology and what technology could do. Those were our humble beginnings for Rootstec. Now, of course, you know that we've had more than 1 million participants during Rootstec 2021. In 2013, we published our 1 billionth record, thanks to the workforce of volunteers. From 300 to 500,000 at any given time, we published then our 1 billionth record, indexed record. And in 2021, this year, we have more than 4.7 billion images. So from the humble beginnings as the Genealogical Society of Utah to FamilySearch to show technology and to address FamilySearch.org, we have grown a lot, and we're very excited to see this growth continuing to happen. Now, why do we do what we do? Our mission is very simple. We create inspiring experiences that bring joy to all people as they discover, gather, and connect their family, past, present, and future. I am sure you have all experienced this, and you have seen patrons in your archives experience the same. As they come to do research and to look at some of the genealogical records that you have to trace back to their families. And as they find someone that they've been looking for a while, they have this feeling inside of belonging, of connecting. And there's an amazing feeling. There's even more than that, because there's also a feeling of discovering. Let me share something with you that's a bit personal. My father was born, this is not my grandfather, this is my dad. He was born in 1887 in Chile, of course, since I'm from Chile. And during the later years of his life, when he was in his late 80s and early 90s, as we lived together, and as I was growing up, I never asked him about his family. I never met a member of his family because they were all gone. They were all dead. He was the very last one. I never visited where he lived, and I was not, in all honesty, interested in family history or knowing more about his family. He was a very loving man. He's my hero, my dad. So when he passed away, and then I began to learn about family history, some of the initial records that I found on FamilySearch showed to me, because I was already in the States, I was not in Utah, in Chile. So as I was looking at those images, I found out that my dad had become an orphan from his mother when he was 3, and then from his dad when he was 6. Those records that I read gave me that information. And then as I began researching using the internet for the first time a few years ago, I also found out that he was involved in a kind of a civil war for a while where he lived. So my appreciation for his life, and knowing that being an orphan, he was such a wonderful father, such a great dad, even not having his own parents, really taught me to love him even more. I am sure you have experienced some of the same. So this is why we do what we do, to be able to experience this joy of gathering and discovering. And we do this through FamilySearch being a platform where we can not only preserve the present and the past, but we can also preserve a legacy for the future. Now, at this point, I wanted to share a video with you, but since I won't be able to, it was a video showing how we have worked with archives, and we work with archivists all over the world. We have done this, and we have worked with more than 10,000 archives all over the world. We have 350 cameras at any given time functioning. And we also have about 80 cameras, 60 to 80 cameras in North America. That's the US and Canada. We work with all kinds of entities, from very large, such as NARA and LAC, Library and Archives Canada, to very small ones like individuals that hold records, museums, genealogical societies, etc. And we are delighted to work with everyone. Now, why is FamilySearch considered an archive? Let me tell you why. We have the largest family history library in the world, and I hope you've all had a chance to visit Salt Lake and have a discovery experience at our family history library. A couple of years ago, when we could travel, a delegate from Library and Archives Canada went to visit this library in Salt Lake because of the discovery experience that people were having, and how we were able to attract so many youth to come and do research and to be involved with their ancestors. And she was just delighted, as Canada is building a new building for the National Archives. So they are incorporating some of the things that we were able to show at our family history library. Besides a wonderful discovery experience, we find books, of course, more than 340,000. Some films still, even though 99.9% of them have been scanned or digitized. Periodicals, maps and pedigrees, and a family digital library that I will discuss a little later with you, with over 500,000 published books. And we have some restricted materials as well. So this is what the Family History Library holds in Salt Lake. We hold, as I said, more than 500,000 digital books. And these are books that come mainly from different libraries all over North America, and now we're starting to work with Europe. These are books, published books that are in public domain, or sometimes we do digitize copyrighted material once we obtain permission from the copyright owner. These digital books cover many things, such as biographies, directories, all kinds of materials that will add to the historical records. We have more than 8.9 billion searchable names, and we will show you how quickly this will be growing within the next few years, thanks to technology. We also have 4.7 billion images on FamilySearch, and I just took this picture yesterday. If you were to see this picture today of how many images we have, you will see that changing. If you go to FamilySearch and you go to explore historical images, you will see this number changing as we ingest new images every day. We add more than 1 million images daily. And we index also more than 1 million records daily. This is a huge number. So if someone cannot find their families on FamilySearch or their records on FamilySearch and their information, just come back in a few days and you will see how much it has grown and how many more chances you have to find the information that you seek. We have 31.16 million visits monthly. That's the average. In 2020, we used to have 400,000. So as you can see how this is growing so fast, and this is becoming available for everyone. What are some of the technological advancements that are available to us in records preservation and access? What is it that FamilySearch is using at this point? Let me share some of that with you. As you know, we microfilmed. We microfilmed for 83 years. That is a lot of time. And at the time when we started, that was then the latest technology. Today is something different. It's digital imaging. In a few years, I don't know, maybe 50, 100, it will be something different, I'm sure. And FamilySearch will also be at the edge of technology. What is very exciting is that these 2.4 million microfilms have been finally digitized. The whole collection that we have in Salt Lake has been completely digitized and will be available to you as they are ingested and all the work is being done, the cataloging, everything. It should be done and available to you within the next few weeks. Now, this is amazing because when we started using technology to scan film, and all of you must have film scanners in your facilities, you know that it takes quite a while to do a microfilm. And we at the beginning, we assumed that it would take us about 50 years. Then, because of technology, as it became less expensive, more advanced, and as we learned to do things differently, we developed our own way of doing this in such a way that it brought it to 20 years. So in about 20 years, we scanned or digitized 2.4 million rolls of film. We're going to retain the film, but we will continue working with the images from this point on. Now, let me explain to you about a process that we call Infinity. It is a wonderful name because it does reflect our vision as to what we want to accomplish and what our aim is. And of course, our aim is it's mind-boggling. We want to digitize the records of mankind, and we want to create a global tree that will allow for all of us to be linked together as a family. Is this easy? No, it is very hard. It is complicated. It takes a lot of effort. Canada tried to do this about 10 years ago, and it was too expensive, too hard to do something like this. So the Infinity process will allow us to do things rapidly. Let me give you an example. I microfilmed many years ago. And when I used to microfilm, it would take a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, to be able to show those images on FamilySearch or to have those images available. When we started digitizing film and we switched to digital cameras, that timing was brought down to a few months. Still, it was too long. And in many instances, we had a huge backlog. Why? Because we were bringing too many images and we did not have the infrastructure to be able to handle all of this, and to be able to work it efficiently. So we had to develop a new system for this to be able to work. And let me show you what technology has done. Let me give you an example of what is happening today. On August 13th of 2021, at about 7:20 p.m. local time, a FamilySearch camera operator in the Dominican Republic scanned the very last page of a book of Catholic Church baptisms from the years 1969 to 1975 in the parish of Nuestra Señora del Pilar in the city of Sabana de la Mar. Now, less than 2 weeks later, remember, when we send what we call a shuttle, a hard drive from the Dominican Republic to the US, it takes a few days via UPS, FedEx, 3, 4, 5 days sometimes. So about a week later, it arrived in Salt Lake, and this group of 531 images was received, and it was on August 27th ingested. What this means is that the ingest process includes a quality audit, a metadata assessment, an entry into the various FamilySearch databases. This import completed, as I said, at 2:01 in the morning on August 27th, less than 2 weeks after those images were taken. Now, 6 hours later, at 8:02 a.m., the finding process of the computer-assisted indexing system detected the availability of this group and determined that it was a potential match for its capabilities. This collection was good for CAI. The group of images were queued for CAI workflow. This image shows how the computer has color-coded this document and has broken it down into different parts and segments, not only using OCR technology to read handwritten material information, but also detecting the meaning of words and making sense out of events, dates, information, and relationships. The computer builds a record which can then be curated by a human being. So this is quite exciting. This is the digital images, 531, as they are found on FamilySearch, and as they have been enhanced by CAI. An hour later, by 9:03 a.m., the text of each of these images had been extracted. And this is what it looks like. Now, this document was extracted using OCR technology and artificial intelligence to be able to find the names, the dates, and the relationships to make sense out of this record. As you can see at the bottom, it also shows the information that was extracted. We can read all of what's found in this document and not only extract the information, but also create a discovery experience as we teach computers how to use relationships. I think this is just amazing. I hope it is as exciting to you as it is to me. A couple of days ago, I was shown a video of a gentleman. His name is Baumgartner, 43-year-old Austrian, and he jumped about 23 miles up from the sky and then landed using a parachute. I was fascinated by this. I thought it was incredible. what technology and what we are accomplishing. It wasn't 60 miles up in the sky, which is the limit to what we call the space, but it was pretty darn good. I was so intrigued by it, how it was done. I couldn't stop watching that video. Now, that was an exciting event. That event touched many people. Once we look at it, we go, as the work that was done by this gentleman. Now, what I'm showing you is also is as exciting or even more exciting, because it will touch millions of people as we use artificial intelligence to access these records and to create discovery experiences, as I will show to you. Now, the example that I gave you was a Spanish record, simply because we already have so many English records that have been indexed, and we have a ton of Spanish records that have not been indexed yet. So this will accelerate the work with English, with Spanish records. Then we're moving to Portuguese and also French records. We have some notarial records at the National Archives of Quebec. These are very similar to probate records. They are very complete. In the early part of the province, these records contain vital records. They contain vital information and all the transactions that were done by a family. They are so rich, so full of vital information, family history and genealogically wise, but they are very hard to access. They are almost impossible to index. Therefore, this artificial intelligence will be used on records such as those to create an experience that will allow people to relive what was lived during those early years. This is very, very exciting. Another part of technology that has evolved through time is, of course, indexing. As we used to, if you recall, we used to have to go to FamilySearch, download a few images. We would connect using the phone. We could hear those beeping sounds, and if the connection did not drop after a couple of hours, we were able to download a few images. Then we would index those images using a software that you had to download on your computer, and then we would send the information back to Salt Lake, again using the phone and hoping that nothing would be lost. Then a few years ago, we developed what's called web indexing. Web indexing allows you to use your computer or your tablet, go on FamilySearch, pick a project, and then just download maybe a couple of images, respond to a few questions, use some amazing tools, and you can be done in just a few minutes, and all of this done through the internet. It gets back to Salt Lake, and after a few minutes, once you have done this indexing and it has been reviewed, that record already shows up on FamilySearch as an indexed record, and you can search for it. This is another example of how technology has changed. Now, let me show you how this can be done in the future. This is what we will see sometime within the next couple of months. Let me give you an example, and this is very exciting. And let me go to the 1950 census, which we're expecting to see early next year. Let me show you an initial view of the experience that we want to create. There will certainly be a lot more than this, but it will be available and it will be improved as we get closer to the date. So let me show you. First of all, let's say you get an email from one of your, not an email, but maybe a message using social media from one of your friends, and it says something like this: I loved learning about this. You should go and check it out. My ancestor graduated college in 1950. Or you could find something like this: I found my family in the 1950 census. And it could be your cousin, your friend, anyone that could send you this. Once you find this and you decide to participate, you will come to a page like this. Do you know that you're indexing? No, not yet. You are curious. You just want to find out what's available and to see if your ancestor was in the 1950 census, just like your friend's ancestor was there. So we go to the 1950 census, we click on relationship, and we ask you this, and you'll see why in a few moments. Just tell us who the individual you want to search is what his relationship is towards you. So I'm going to pick grandparent. And if I click next, I need to fill out a few things, just the information that I know. Name, last name, a place, and maybe the age that he was at a certain time, at a certain year. This way, the computer can work its magic and guesstimate the year of birth and provide you some possible options as to who, as to whether this individual is found in the census or not. So as we start looking, we look for John Phillips. And as you can see, it found 6 results. Now we have this John Phillips, born in 1892, Farmington, New York. These are the parents, and this was all taken from the census, from the 1950 census, using artificial intelligence. Or it could be John Phillips. Now you will say to me, Manny, you're kidding me. That individual has a picture. Why do you have a photo if the census did not have any pictures or photos? Well, the reason is, it is because as we did this artificial intelligence, or as we do this, we match it to the records that we already have. And in many instances, we're 99.9% sure that we already have information on the individual, such as other records and images, stories, even recordings. So voice recording. So this is really interesting. So John Phillips could be. Then we have another one, John Phillips, born in 1914, Trenton, New Jersey, and a few more. So I think, because I remember my grandpa talking about Isabel and Clarence, I think this is the right John Phillips. So I click on him. As I click on him, I'm able to see, now this, I'm using my phone to do this. I'm able to see the record of the 1950 census. If I click on it to see the image, I can see the record itself. And I can see very clearly that this is John. His parents are Clarence and Isabel Phillips. And I can go through the information, head of the house, wife, son, etc. All the information that has been gathered from him. Now I can be static by looking at this, and this is just fine, but let's see what else I can do. Let's say I look at this information and I go, I don't think this is right. I don't think the last name, my mother's last name, or my grandfather's mother's last name, or first name was spelled correctly. It was with 2 L's and an E, and an I, like we do in French. So what can we do? We can scroll down and make changes. We can make corrections. In other words, we can curate the 1950 census on the fly. Once we have done that, with the information that we have, we can say, well, what do we know about John? Well, from the census, we know that he was living with his parents, Isabel and Clarence. There they are. We also know where he was living. So he was living in 510 North Clementine Street. And if I want to click on it, I can see the map as it looks today where that individual, my grandfather, was living. Now, it gets more interesting. I can also take a look as to what this looked like in 1950. And we will do our best to get as many images to be able to match what these maps looked like during 1950 to show us how our ancestors, how our parents, grandparents, and so forth lived during that time. Now, if we go down, we also know that he was 36 years old and in the 1950, that he had John is listed as a son, and his age was 36, and he was born in New Jersey. That is the other information that we have. And if we click on this, it will give us some more information. It will give us about the average age of people that lived during that time. Also some trivia, and this may be important to those from New York. The New York Yankees defeated the Philadelphia Phillies 4-0, and so forth. There's all kinds of information, even how much things cost during that time. So now we're having an interactive experience discovering how our ancestors lived, how my grandpa lived. If we continue to scroll down, I know from this record, from the census record, that he served in World War II. So let's find out what else we know about World War II. We know that he was approximately 27 years old when he did this, and that there were 9% of the US population were serving at that time. We also, if we have a registration card, you will be able to go click on it and see it, plus any other records that relate to that event. Let's go to the very last one. We also know, because of the dates that we have, that John lived through the flu pandemic. Why is this important? Perhaps in the past we wouldn't have cared. Today we do, because we've gone through the experience of living through a pandemic. Therefore, we can relate to this and we can find more information as we go down. Now, once we have this information and we have reviewed it, we can decide that, yes, this is my grandfather. So we click on it and there we go. We get congratulated and we have different options. We can download the information that we found. We can share via Messenger, WhatsApp, etc., email, etc., and we can involve others. Now, if I want to save the discovery, I can create an account with FamilySearch and do that with Facebook, continue with Google, Apple, or use a church account if I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or I can create a free account. So either way, we can use this to enter the information into FamilySearch and be connected to a global tree that will already have your grandfather's information in it because you have marked him as your granddad. So this is as well incredibly exciting as we work with this. So let me just do a recap of this technology. So the invitation that I'd like to extend to you is to find your family. And once you have found your family and you have experienced what they experienced during 1950, to share this experience with others. As we do this through some features such as household location and map, the fact that you can claim this individual as your ancestor, that you can save and share discoveries, you can add information to this global tree, and you can connect with others. The key to all of this is connecting. Community engagement, that is something that also has progressed. Let me give you a couple of examples. This is, and we have a few people from Ohio here. This is Maryland, the Archives of Maryland. And this is a group of volunteers that are document preparing. They are making flat some probate records from this location. We want to work with communities all over, and these are gen societies, and these are individuals that have come to assist in the document preparation. There's another way we can involve the community. There's a new application that we're creating that you will see during the next few months. It's called Get Involved. And how this works, it is similar to what I just showed you before. You will be able to find a record and do a curation on this record as it has been indexed by a computer. And you will be able to decide whether it is correct or incorrect or needs to be changed. For instance, this is a document where I see a name which seems to say Teodora Alejandra. Now, it could be Teodoro, but because Alejandra is female, I would assume it is Teodora. So in this case, I would say, yes, it is a match. Or if I do not agree, I could edit. Or if I am unsure, I can just leave it as it is and go to the next one. This is one amazing way to get involved, and this is available to everyone just from your phone. You could be cruising in the Caribbean and doing some curation of historical records. And even more exciting, the youth are involved with this. They find this exciting, and as they discover their ancestors. There is also several endeavors underway to work with underrepresented communities. One of them is called Reclaiming Our African Roots, or ROAR. In the year 2019, it marked the 400th anniversary of the landing of the first documented African Americans in North America. In support of this milestone in American history, FamilySearch International, along with partners in the African American community, decided to index and gather specific records that deal with African Americans living in the North America, in Canada and the US. We have different partners that have come to work with us, such as enslaved.org, Peoples of the Historical Slave Trade, the International African American Museum, Our Black Ancestry, Michigan State University, River Road African American Museum, and the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society. I am also working with some organizations in Ontario, where the Underground Railroad terminated or concluded. They have incredible records that will help us create a discovery experience for these underrepresented groups. Now, let's talk about Rootstech, and I believe I'm still doing good on time. Rootstech 2022. This is very, very exciting. We have more than 10 years of experience working with Rootstech. We started in 2011 with 3,000 participants. In 2020, we had 32,000, which was quite a milestone. Now, if we look at 2021, we had to learn to do things differently. From 32,000, we went to 1.5 million participants. This was an exciting event, like none other. It was a completely new experience. We learned many things. We made some mistakes. We learned so many things on how to work with different continents at the very same time. This was a worldwide event. But even though it was a worldwide event that started in one country and then moved to the next for a couple of days, it was also a localized event in the sense that it contained localized contents. And there was content specifically aimed for North America, for Canada and the United States. Let me give you some examples. So we had a participant, an archivist from the Washington State Archives, who explained to us how to use family stories to enrich your family history work. Then we had Adam Jensen from Hawaii, who also gave an excellent presentation on practices and preservation to their records. And we had Tom Ruler, our good friend Tom, who gave a wonderful presentation on discovering records in New York at the State Archives. Now, this is not all. We also had COSA participating. All of you participated. You had a booth there. And we thank you for that. And we would like to invite you to again do the same in 2022. Now, that is the invitation. Please join us. Rootstech Connect is all about connecting people from around the world. What is continuing on FamilySearch? What has not changed? No cost preservation services that will remain free. We have the tendency to think that when something is free is not good, or it will not last long. We've been around for more than 100 years, and we plan to be around for the next few centuries. Therefore, you can trust that we will be able to preserve and work with your records. How can we do this? We do it because we're sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Members of the church provide offerings in order for FamilySearch to function and to be able to do this great work that we do. So it is not free. It is free for everyone, but there's a cost associated with it. And our mission is to make this available always. Something else that hasn't changed, on-location camera operations to digitize your records. We started with 8 megapixels, then we went to 12, we went to 16, 32. We used Aluna's cameras, Nikon cameras, 36 megapixels, 50 megapixels, and even 90 megapixel cameras we've been testing and working with. One of these setups costs about $25,000. We come to the archives, whether you're a large archive or a small archive, and we will digitize these records for you, again, for free. Once the records are digitized and sent to Salt Lake, we will provide back to you a digital copy of these records, either in JPEG, 2000, JPEG, or TIFF. It is really up to you, not only what type of format for the images, but also when to receive them. You don't have to receive them now. You may just request those images once you need them. What this gives you is peace of mind that your records are permanently protected against the threat of loss or damage to records. The film that I wanted to show you showed a typhoon affecting the Philippines and how the records were destroyed. But there's no need to show that film anymore, because as we look around the news every single night, we see what happened in Spain with that volcano. I see what happened in Canada, in British Columbia, and other provinces, where whole cities were completely vanished due to fires. And then we see the same with California, with western part of the states. We see floodings in the southern states, hurricanes. Montreal is a very cold place during the winter time, and that's fine. I can deal with it. I turn on the thermostat and I'm good. But for the first time this year, we had a tornado about 20 minutes from where I live, and a few houses were destroyed and a gentleman lost his life. This is completely new. Unfortunately, this climate change and these things will continue to happen. I hope it will get better, but I'm sure it will get worse before it gets better. So having these records preserved by FamilySearch is of great value to all the archivists. We do what we call migration, and it is active migration, which means that these 20 petabytes of information are checked every single year for metadata and image integrity, and every 3 years, the media in which they are found, these drives are completely changed. So every 3 years, every single image is migrated to a new hard drive. We also have 3 physical locations where these images are stored, plus in the cloud. So we have 4 locations where these records can be accessed, plus we provide a donor copy to you. So that is quite a backup. How about the next century? What will happen during the next century? Our imagination is the limits. Let me give you an example. This is a phone that my mother has, because she does FaceTime with me and with family members. It is kind of small. She can carry it with her, of course, bigger than they used to be, but she has a hard time reading. So the same phone can be opened up and turned into a tablet. Now, that is what technology does for phones, and the same technology will be used for some of the work that we do. I also believe that in the next few years, what took a week and a half to be able to index those records from the Dominican Republic, we will be able to digitize a volume, and then through technology, whether internet or something better, we don't know, those records will be sent to a location, maybe Salt Lake, maybe another location in the world, and the next day after, that record will be available for everyone, and it will be indexed for everyone. This is really exciting. Now, just to finish, let me thank you for listening to us and for partnering with us throughout all these years. We want to work with you. We would love to hear back from you, and please feel free to contact any of us in order to allow us to continue this journey together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manny. We appreciate you sharing all of the new activity and the old activity that's been going on in FamilySearch. And so now we can go ahead and advance. And if we have questions, I know that Manuel will be glad to answer them. We did have one in chat, and I think you answered it, but I'm going to ahead and ask it again, just so we can clarify. Catherine Giles asked, when you were showing the 1950 census stuff, can anyone curate or make changes revisions and notes to these records. And
That
later
is a
on, I think,
wonderful, yeah, that is a wonderful question. What I showed to you a few moments ago, this application on your phone, just go back to it. Is basically without logging into an account. Anyone can just click this and curate. You don't have to open an account with FamilySearch. You can just go ahead and use it without any problems. You don't have to become a FamilySearch account holder. I hope that answers that question.
so I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So I curate something and I say, no, this is the way it should be. And somebody else comes back and says, no, you're wrong. How do you handle discrepancies on the curations?
You see that I'm smiling. I love that question because we have a real good answer. Even now, what we do is as you go and see a document on FamilySearch, let's say a census record, and that has been indexed, and you do not agree with the name, the way the name was extracted, you can click on edit, you can change that name, and then both names will be kept on that record. And when someone does a search, they will find that record using either one of the names that were entered. It is the same with, will be with localities, with all the corrections that we make. We don't overwrite one when we make a correction. We keep all of the corrections that have been made. My dad's name, last name was miswritten, was written wrong on the records on FamilySearch. It was indexed wrong. And once this feature came out, I was so happy to be able to correct it and to be able to find it either way. So thanks for that question. That was great.
Excellent. Well, hopefully if you have questions for the FamilySearch team, please go ahead and type them in chat. Or if you want, open up your microphone and you could just ask them live. So feel free to do that. We did have a neat comment from Sean Rounds. She mentioned that she thanks you for the presentation, but she's now starting to think about some community events surrounding the 1950 census. So you've got some people's wheels turning here. So this is good.
Very good. So I am sorry, I went through it so fast to this. So my apologies, but yes, we do want to get involved with you on the 1950 census and other curation of records. So please join with us, contact us through John, through myself, Steve, or Rob, and let's work together on this. We can provide some marketing materials, and I'm sure you can come up with your own as well.
Excellent. Anybody else have any other questions? And Manny, if we can go ahead and move through to the slides to those last couple.
Sure. Let me just see if there's a quick way to do this.
Well, I'm not seeing any more questions, but I think you've got a lot of people thinking, which is excellent. And I bet there will be questions as we go along. So what I do want to encourage everyone is we hope you enjoyed today's ShopTalk webinar, but look forward to the next one we have this month is a video release. We've been doing a series of what we call In Conversations With. And this one is with Dr. Catherine Skinner of Educopia. And so you can go check out how you'll get to be able to see that. And that one's, it's released on the 28th, but you can watch it at your leisure. So we hope you'll take advantage of that. Okay, next slide. So again, we hope you'll reach out to us. You know how to contact FamilySearch, but also please reach out to COSA and let us know. There's all the different ways you can communicate with us. And so we hope to hear from you soon. I'd like to thank the entire FamilySearch team. Manny, thank you so much for your presentation. John, Steve, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I just appreciate all of the help that we get from working with the COSA organization. Everybody there is tremendous, and we just enjoy knowing who you are, being friends with each of you, and working together to help to preserve and protect records. You're going to hear more about the 1950 census. As Manny said in the presentation, what you saw was a preview of things that we're working on. And it is work that's right now in process. And we're also working on the marketing materials so that we can get the community engagement, and appreciate Sean for stepping forward already. And we anticipate there's going to be a lot of excitement as the 1950 census becomes available, just as the 1940 census was, which I remember picking up from NARA at midnight on April 1st, 2012. And so this time we're going to be able to get it even quicker. I won't have to fly to DC anymore, which I miss, but it will be really exciting. So as you saw, there's a lot of technology that's going to be involved in that particular project. And as we learn from that project, we continue to expand the technology to our other platforms. And the stuff that you saw in Spanish that will be in French and all these other languages, we will be doing the same sort of thing in English as our capacity increases. So we're very excited as we look towards the future, and as we look towards all of the different records that still need to be made more accessible, because once it's scanned, once that computer has got that name in there, it can be searchable. And we've got billions of names in there now. It's hard to imagine how many names there are that are in there, more than the people that are living on the earth today. And so it's going to be amazing, and we appreciate all your support, and we want to help you as much as possible to help to preserve and protect your records so that they can be made available for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. And just a reminder, there's always a short little survey at the end of these, and they really do help us as we prepare future webinars. Let us know if there's topics. Do you want to hear more on different parts? What do you want to hear from our sponsors? So please take a moment and fill that out. So with that, thank you, everyone, for participating today. We hope to see you again at another COSA webinar. And FamilySearch staff, everyone, thank you so much for your presentation today. We appreciate that. And with that, we wish everyone a great day and have a great weekend. So you guys take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Lisa.